Hey, how y'all doing? It's Jonathan back again. It's been a long time. It's been a real long time since I made a video, but I feel like the timing is perfect right now. It's 1 month out from election season. It's 10, 11, 22. So, I felt like it was appropriate to talk about what's been going on in the news lately, especially with the Kanye West situation and all of that. So, I'm going to start off with that. I'm going to talk about the political arena right now, especially the political arena going on in Georgia, as well as all the U.S. congressional seats coming up. We'll talk about 2024 and just the whole political landscape and what's going on in this, dynamic. So with the Kanye West thing, which has been like a highly debated topic for the last week or so, with him, putting out the White Lives Matter shirt, I'm gonna break it down in 3 steps. I'm gonna talk about the White Lives Matter shirt. I'm gonna talk about his interview that he did on Fox News with Tucker Carlson, and then I'm gonna talk about the aftermath of that and him, exposing the, Jewish ruling class elite community and how they control, black progress, quote unquote, or whatever, and which is true, overall in the whole spectrum of the game. So let's start off with the White Lives Matter shirt when he had Candace Owens in there. My first take on that shit was racist as fuck. That shit was buffoonish as hell. He had been watching too much Alex Jones. That nigga thought he was white for a second. He thought he was part of the right wing set like Candace Owens. He thought he was a pet and a mascot and a little do boy for them. That's my first reaction to what I thought. It's still my reaction to the shirt. He may say like it was a Machiavellian chess move, which further steps did show it was, but how he did it was how the right wingers, like the Alex Jones said, which I'm familiar with because I used to listen to him as well, and he mentioned that on the Fox News interview. He thought he was like them, but you're not like them. Number one, you're black. They're not gonna forget you're black, even if you spew their talking points and anything like that. And number two, that shit was inappropriate. What the hell? Like that's worse than the All Lives Matter shirt. That's like a complete backhanded compliment, backhanded slap to everything that we're doing right now. And his justification for it, see, I'm tying it all in because the interview has to do with also the shirt, was him trying to say that, oh, it wasn't that. And by the way, my daddy's a Black Panther, so he thought it was a joke. So if he's the standard and he thinks it's a joke because he's a black revolutionary, then it's okay. It's not okay because when we look at your background, bro, you're a boule. Your daddy might have been an agent. You know what I'm saying? Because all the Black Panthers either had to flee or they're in prison or they're dead. So come on, you know what I'm saying? The ones who survived were ops. But I digress from that. So number one, that White Lives Matter shirt is unacceptable. I don't co-sign that shit at all. That was coonish, buffoonish, and all of that. So that's number one. Now the interview with Tucker Carlson, that shit was on point. You gotta listen to the full interview, part one and part two, and it is amazing. Like it really did its thing. Like for real, it did its thing. Like it had everything that you needed in there. He talked revolutionary talk. He's on Tucker Carlson, which is Fox News, and he said both the Republicans and Democrats don't give a damn about black people, and they only treat us as a poll number. There are both two heads, two sides of the same coin, basically, which is keep us under this lowest level class of black oppression, genocide, and economic deprivation. He talked about that we needed to go the Claude Anderson route. We needed to build Black Wall Streets. We needed to change the game, transform everything. We needed to basically have reparations in all of this. He mentioned Margaret Sanger, a eugenicist. So I was really impressed with the whole flow of the interview. Just being real, I was like, damn, this is good. Now, my only critique was that he was on Tucker Carlson and Fox News, and they chopped up the interview. Like they kept making it seem like he was crazy because they would tie things in that had no correlation because it wasn't how when he was talking about it. So they would chop up the interview, and you would hear certain parts of it. You'd be like, "What the hell is he talking about?" Then when you hear the full interview, you'd be like, "Oh, he was saying this to mean that," which was done purposely because, as he was mentioning, they try to make him look crazy because of the stuff that he's bringing to the table, the truth that he's spewing. You know, of course. Um, they always do that. Now, another thing I didn't like too is when he was explaining the White Lives Matter shirt, he tried to joke it away, he tried to spin it, but he never really explained himself. The best thing that I could get from that is him trying to say he used it to call attention to state the obvious that white lives matter and ours don't. But if you're doing that, you're not going to be aligning with Candace Owens, the number one coon of all coons, and their little do girl. If you're trying to make a point about that, if you're trying to be a Trojan horse and use a Trojan horse strategy and a bait and switch, I think that's an excuse he used because he's been around those right wingers and he thinks like them right now, and that's not the way to go. Because the Alex Jones set and shit, they throw your ass away quicker than the left wing side does, bro. Which is, you know, which is what it is. So, another point that I like too that he mentioned as well is when he kept going in on the Democrats, where he kept going in on BLM, because that's a clear out group. Black Lives Matter is George Soros's do boy group, basically, all a means to use a counterinsurgency to stop legitimate protest against police killings, against black genocide, against white supremacy, against our reparations movement, to bring in their agenda, use a black mascot, whether it's the LGBTPZ community and all of that they were spewing in there, whether it's the women's co-op group, or whether it's all people matter, which is just a co-op to make it seem like our issue is it doesn't matter. Basically, that's like saying, hey, we're talking about kids who have cancer, and somebody says, well, but my grandma got herpes. Like, what the hell? It's a deflector and a means of delegitimizing and pushing aside your issue that you're bringing to the table, as everybody knows. But I digress. So once again, I know for a fact that Kanye, when he brought up that White Lives Matter shirt, wasn't a means of trying to Trojan horse anything. That's him being a billionaire, thinking that his money and his information that he's picked up from the right wing side is going to somehow make him other than what he is. So once again, I am completely against that part. However, when we tie in, uh, like I said, I am completely against that part when it comes to him doing that. Him thinking that it's okay for him to think he's above his blackness because he has allowed his class or his fame or his intellect or his wife or his all of that, all the things that we try to do to opt out of this oppression and try to play escape, which it's understandable. I understand. You know what I'm saying? I really do understand it. I'm a black man in the white supremacist world. I understand all the things that we try to do to escape it, but there is no escape. You can't escape out of this. You can't pretend your way out of this. You can't right winger your way out of this. Your money don't mean nothing either. Hell, your degrees don't mean shit. I got a fucking master. I got degrees. What? I have degrees. So is that gonna change anything? No. What the fuck? I'm still a nigga with a degree. What the fuck? Kanye West is a billionaire. Is he treated like a billionaire? No. And not because his antics or talking points either, because there's plenty of radical people who talk a lot, and a lot of the shit they say is way worse than what Kanye said. A la the former president of the United States, who's a billionaire, who, if they didn't put so much stuff against them, could have ran again and won again in 2024. Now it's looking like he may not, but I digress. So I'm gonna continue on with the interview. He brought up so many real points. Number one, when he talked about Obama being their boy, and how, when you use that decorum and all of that and you play the game, you're just their pawn or whatever. which is funny because he doesn't know that he's doing the same thing on the right wing side. But it was just so poignant how he tied in Obama being their little do boy, which is true, which is the left wing's puppet basically, in order to maintain the game and do their bidding for the 1%. Um, if y'all need more information on that, y'all can go down my YouTube videos and watch a breakdown. What happened with Obama, why he is what he is, and why everything became what it became, or how he was the antithesis of what created this whole wave that we're in right now. But I digress. So that was so poignant by him, basically calling him a puppet, which is true. Basically saying that they want you as a celebrity, as somebody in fame, to just kowtow and play the game, to not speak truth to power, to not stand on what is, to just kind of buck dance and do the two-step. So I thought that was good. I thought that was really good that he broke that down. Um, I thought it was good that he exposed Margaret Sanger. You know, that's good. People need to do their research. How he also talked about abortion. I'm against abortion as well, especially when it's being used to abort black babies. Basically, I'm against that. For if it's a crazy circumstance, like somebody gets raped or something that's crazy like that, yeah, of course. But if it's something as far as like killing the child, I'm not in favor of that. Kanye's plan too about if somebody has a child but they don't want to keep it, but there can be a facility that somebody can reach their full potential in, and they receive the love and education and being taken care of as a child all the way until they reach their own success. I really resonated with that as well. I resonated with basically most of that interview. I liked how he called out. Um, I like that he called out what you call it. He called out Jared Kushner and Josh Kushner and all these other people who are in these high positions, these Fortune 500 companies who exploit blackness and exploit uh, our intellectual property. Basically, he kind of alluded to basically he doesn't. I don't know if he knows it or not. How most of the inventions have been exploited that were created by us. Well, if we want to go there, Lewis Lattimore, the telephone and the light bulb, but yet Alexander Graham Bell and fucking Thomas Edison gets the credit for it. That's just two of our most influential ideas that are used on an everyday basis. That in these textbooks are quantified and given to people who had nothing to do with them. You know what I'm saying? Who stole them, who used their companies and their white supremacy to usurp them. Let me go into the example of the light bulb for a second. You don't get in charge of mass lighting the cities if you did not invent that. You know what I'm saying? Lewis Lattimore was in charge of mass lighting the cities because he knew how to work the light bulb because he invented it. They would have given it to Thomas Edison. They wouldn't have given it to no fucking nigger in the fucking 20th century, in the turn of the 20th century. If we be in a hundred, if we gonna be a hundred, we gonna be a hundred. You're like giving it to no black guy in the turn of the 20th century at the height of Jim Crow if he didn't create that shit. That's just what it is, and that's just two things. We can go to the internet, the modern cell phone. It's just so many. It's too many. The elevator. It's on another level. But I digress. But he brought that point up where Josh Kushner thinks he has the right being a venture capitalist, aka he's a vulture capitalist, which means that they just parasitize and use their money, ill-gotten loot, basically, which comes from the slave trade and them probably destroying some Black Wall Street and then stealing the loot and then calling it success and whatever spin they want to do it, and then using that to then parasitize other people's intellectual greatness. So I digress again. They he pointedly pointed that out, like, dude, how can you have a percentage in my company and then use that in order to not let me know what goes on in my company that I paid for, that I created, just because you are think that you're entitled to my ideas, which you're not. Which I really respected that. He called out, like I said again, he called out the Fortune 500 companies. He even called out Trump, basically saying that after he went on Trump's uh, went to the White House or whatever, his black approval rating went up. And he had a problem with that because he's like, why am I just an approval rating? Why am I not more? Why am I not meant for more? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I just like, that insignificant? Why are we just an approval rating, whether for the Democrats or the Republicans? I'm more than just a poll or more than just black. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what he's saying. I'm more than just like a pawn in your game, bro. And he even went to that again when he talked about like Obama was driving the NASCAR, but we're the greatest NASCAR drivers ever. Like he dropped that jewel again. You know, I know I'm jumping about. I'm probably doing a Kanye West interview within the interview, but it's just like so many poignant points that he dropped that I agreed with. I was like, exactly. Like, we may be driving a white car that we built, but we're the best NASCAR drivers and we built that car that we're driving that's supposed to be for you, and we're driving it better than you could ever drive it. You know, that's like boom, like he had so many mic drop moments. It was like crazy. Um, I even want to talk about when he talked about his song, when he was like he felt that Hail Mary sense or whatever, creativity or whatever, when he was, and then he tied in the Tupac song, like Hail Mary, one quick seed. What do we have here now? Do you want to ride or die? La 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 la. And then he said that I didn't know this. My woman, my queen, knew this, but I didn't know that he used that for his song. You can't tell me nothing. When he was like, "Excuse me, are you saying something? You can't tell me nothing." And then he used that la 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 la. Like, I was like, wow, that's creative, that's clever. And he mentioned that was his best song ever. I didn't peep that. It was that was special. I encourage I encourage everybody to listen to that fucking interview for real, because what happened is, I think this was a Machiavellian move by the power structure, like they always do. They had y'all focus on the White Lives Matter shirt. Then when he went to the interview, nobody saw the interview, because as soon as after the interview went on, people jumped to what he said, which I'm going to talk about the third thing, when he started calling out the ruling class apparatuses that are used against us, and how a lot of their puppets on a string, like a Diddy or whatever, are owned by them, and Obama as well, are owned by them. You know, which I'm going to go to in my third point. Um, but back to my second point, basically, back to the interview. I thought he broke down so much shit. He talked about reparations. He mentioned Claude Anderson. He talked about black genocide. He talked about abortion. He mentioned the eugenicist Margaret Sanger, where I'm being real with y'all. I need all of the black queens who be co-signing any sort of feminist shit. Go and read Margaret Sanger. Go and listen to her. Go and read Margaret Sanger, read about eugenics, and see the correlation of how our queens are acting right now to what Margaret Sanger was saying back then. Because she said she's going to make it where that black women indoctrinate white genocidal talking points. Whether it's eugenics, whether it's breaking up the family, whether it's the fuck these niggas, all that other bullshit, whether it's even same sex, all of that was a strategy by the eugenicists back then that they were going to push onto our queens now. And it's happening now. It's happening right now. It's happening right now. And it's being promoted in music, so popularized and so glorified that they don't even peep the correlation. But I digress again. But I just really felt like that was a good interview where, he exposed both sides of the snake. Like I said, the Democrats and the Republicans. That's why black people need their own party. We need our own organization. We need our own leadership. And we need to have the balls to be able to stand up on two and keep pushing forward. Yeah, the code is how you have a behavior and you move on code to organize together. And when things are awry, you don't get off code so that you have each other's back. But it has to go beyond that, because you're fighting, for example, whether you know it or not, you are fighting directly against the ruling class. They have an army, whether it's media army, whether it's a physical army, whether it's economic army. They have an army that they use every single day to warp you and defeat you. And it's not always bang bang or left hook, right hook. It's not always fighting. It's most of the time it is mental. You need a mental counteractive. You need an economic counteractive in order to challenge and defeat these people. The code is not enough. That's just a behavior. That's just the brainstorming thing. That's just the brainstorm. Now you have to manifest that, and manifesting that is with the organization. Manifesting that is with a leadership that pushes you forward with a strategy. You have the program, which is reparations and ending the Black genocide campaign and stuff like that. But it needs to go beyond that. We need more. We need more right now. We don't need to be right now. I'm being honest with you. Right now, we should have been had our political party popping. We should have been having candidates run and win. The Democratic Party is weak. They should be toppled over right now. I'm being honest with you. Both parties should have been gone back in 2008, 2009, during the Occupy Wall Street 1% movement, when Bush destroyed the world economy and Obama was seen as being a op. That should have happened a long time ago. But Obama being black deceived us, deceived a lot of people. Uh, Trump coming in helped to deflect and hide how decadent the Democratic Party was. So it was just a lot of funny shit that the ruling class did so Machiavellianly to keep the game going. You know what I'm saying? You got to give it up to them. I always give it up to them. I'm like, damn, y'all boys, y'all sit back in the lab all day and just formulate how to maintain power. You're able to chop up and use certain depressed groups to oppress others in order to maintain your apparatus. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, after the Obama era, 2015, 2016 era, when his popularity and all that other shit was starting to come to a close, what they do next? They hit you with the women's movement. They hit you with Time's Up. They hit you with Me Too. They started promoting the chick flick shit in the era, right during the Black Empowerment era. Remember, every time Black empowerment comes on the scene, whether it was in the 60s with King and them, or whether it's right now, they always hit you with the three counterinsurgency movements. It's the drug revolution. Why do you think they legalizing every fucking drug right now? It's the sex revolution, LGBTPZ. Now they're trying to do pedophilia. They're trying to do zoophilia. They're trying to get everything on the radar. And the women's revolution, all as a means of countering our legitimate movements, because they control all three. All three of these movements are in line with their shit. That's their ideology. Whether it's put on whether a black face runs it. And the bad thing right now is the jits are falling for the okie doke. You know what I'm saying? And it's the jits' fault, but it's not the jits' fault. Because, there should have been more people in line teaching them, letting them know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Letting them know what's going on. And you can hear it in the music right now too. When you hear the rap music right now, this shit is chaos rap. This shit is, like I've always said before, it's chick flick, over masculinized, over sexualized female rap on one side, and then effeminized jit male rap on the other side, with no substance on either side. You're not hearing no Lauryn Hill where she's speaking truth to power, or no Tupac speaking truth to power, where they have a conscious movement, where they are talking about the real issues that are going on and how to move forward in that. And nobody is. They're not talking about that. They're giving you death rap. I've said this before. The jit rappers, especially the male jit rappers right now, are more in line with punk rock than they are with actual hip hop right now. You see how they look? They have pink, purple, green, yellow, blue, orange hair. They're over here talking about gothic shit. Damn, I bet some of them even cutting themselves and shit, bro. This shit is on another level. But I'm gonna digress. Back to part three. Part three of what I was talking about is now what Kanye's aftermath of the interview was. The interview was great, everything like that. Then he went even more in when he started talking about the Jewish elite, basically, the Zionist Jewish elite, basically. There's a book called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, and how the Jewish elite are the overarching head put in place to stop or control a lot of black institutions, a lot of black things that we listen to, like the entertainment industry. That's not hyperbole. Nick Cannon brought Professor Griff on there, who exposed the 13 families and started breaking down the banking elites and all the stuff that's in our music industry that's owned by them. And they banned Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon didn't say nothing about it. He asked questions and they banned him. Kanye exposed P. Diddy and even put in a text message about Diddy and posted all that shit on Instagram, and they banned him. He didn't say anything wrong. And then they try to spin it and make it seem like he's anti-Semitic. Black people are a Semitic people. You can't be anti-Semitic if you are the Hebrews, the true Jews, the chosen people written in mythological folklore or biblical lore. We're the ones that fulfill Bible prophecy, the ones who have been oppressed for 500 years, who are meant to overcome that. That's true. What the fuck? That's not a lie. And they know it too. What? See, so you gotta, that's what I'm saying. And even back in the 90s, Khalid Muhammad and Leonard Jeffries exposed that on the Phil Donahue show. So I'm not gonna let them come in here and start pulling out bullshit in order to discredit somebody giving out legitimate points about what they're doing. See, that's what they've been doing now. When you start challenging the ruling class, they have a lot of what I like to call landfills or landmines that they can just drop in place so you to blow up on. See, that's what they were trying to do back in 2020, 2019 when they were trying to make Kamala president. It's because with Obama, there's too many people starting to go at Obama for legitimate reasons. Black people going at Obama. But if you had Kamala in there, you could have used, see, they're trying to Me Too her because she's a woman. Damn, they don't like her because she's a woman. They don't like her because of this and that. Same thing now with when Kanye talks about the Jewish community. He don't like because he's anti-Semitic. Kanye's a Semitic people. If anybody knows about oppression and about what's going on and about decadency, it's us. We faced the Holocaust for 500 years. What the fuck? Which has killed over 1 billion people. Our Holocaust wasn't 10 years, like Khalid Muhammad said. Our Holocaust continues to this fucking day. What the hell? Y'all don't have a monopoly on suffering, like dude said in the Donahue show. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you guys participated in our Holocaust. Hell, 75% of all the Jews own slaves. They don't want to talk about that. That's in the book of the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. So don't do that. Don't do that, because we'll flip that shit real quick, and we ain't scared about labels or terms or discrediting this and that. And Sarah Silverman and all these other fuck ass celebrities, y'all have been known to put on blackface. So y'all have no place to speak on nothing. You guys are racist to the fucking core, and we calling that shit out. And we ain't allowing you to try to spin shit, Trojan horse shit, and use the same tactics that you've used before. It's a new fucking day, and we got balls now. We got balls more than them niggas back in the 60s had balls. And they had balls. We have more balls right now than them boys back in the 1800s, because they had real balls back then. Whenever you were challenging slave owners who could kill you on the spot and do all type of manner of shit, probably were ripping motherfuckers' tongues out and cutting off limbs, and then you had the balls to not only challenge them, but fight them, but risk your family's life to just see yourself be free and see your whole community be free. There ain't nothing higher than that. I'm being honest with you. When I look back, see, this is how Machiavellian white society has got us. They made us look at slavery shamefully. They made it seem like, look, if your ancestry is slavery. The people who were enslaved were fucking amazing. To be able to overcome something as decadent and as evil as that was, where people were so vile and so demonic, they were doing all type of shiesty ass shit, and you were able to flip that and free yourself and kill them, and then flip the game to where you were this close from taking it over yourself. Ain't nothing higher than that. See, the textbooks have confused it. It confused me. I was a jit. I was not only a jit in average school, I was of the elite of the elite. So they flipped it. They made it seem like what we went through was bad. So then you internalize the game. But what they went through was, I feel like, the ultimate test right there. And a lot of them, and they really flourished through that shit. They give my highest honor. Like that's what I'm saying. That's why I really respect the FBA movement, and I really respect what Tariq is saying. Don't overlook the ancestors who fought, died, and kept it pushing, and were able to smile even through the most evil, vile shit ever. We can't overlook them, man. We can't overlook them. We can't overlook the Frederick Douglasses, Martin Delaney's, Harriet Tubman's, but even the unsung heroes like Robert Smalls or so many. It's too many. It's too many. Sojourner Truth, but it's so many, too many ones that were giants. You John the Horse. People who were about their life, really about it. You know, really put it all on the line in the most vile areas where all type of shit was happening. And I know it was worse than what they say. It's already bad enough of what was going on, but it was probably way worse than that. It was way worse than that, and they still overcame that. Not only this is what I always like to tell our people when they start getting in this woe is me shit. We can't do nothing. We defeated these crackers twice. We beat them during slavery. When slavery was never supposed to end, we beat them during Jim Crow. Jim Crow was never supposed to end. We stopped that shit. It wasn't because the textbooks lie so much. They lie so much. It just pisses me off so much. We beat them twice. Remember, the Confederacy was kicking the Union's ass. Don't ever let nobody ever tell you different. This would have been the British Confederate States of America. But Lincoln was forced to allow black people to enter the war and on the side of the North. And as a stipulation, that's why we got our freedom, because as a stipulation, we negotiated with Lincoln. Frederick Douglass and Martin Delaney said, if we fight in this war and we're gonna win this shit, not only are we allowed freedom, the right to vote, but equal stake in power within this land. So the economics, all of that. That's where the 40 acres and a mule came. They think that was just a handout. That wasn't no damn handout. They owed us that shit because we had won the fucking Civil War. They lie about that shit all the time in the textbooks because they don't want to tell you the truth. Because if you know the truth, then you're gonna be fighting for what is owed to us right now. That's real rap. That's real shit right there. Real shit. So they had to not only change the textbooks, they had to destroy the Freedmen's Bank, reinstitute the black codes, and then you got and then they had to betray us in 1877. So everything we're dealing with right now comes from that, what can we say, 15 to 20 year period. I say 10 to 15-year period from the Civil War to after the Civil War. That's what's going on right now. Everything that we're dealing with. The reason why we're at the bottom economically, socially, politically, all that other fuck shit. The reason why we haven't received what is owed for us, what we built, what we created, what we've sustained, all of it is due to that period right there that we have not changed. And now it's coming right back full circle because what's kept in the dark must come to the light. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here I'm spitting universal truths right now. Boy, this ain't even coming from me. This coming from the soul right there. So it has to be. It has to be corrected. You can't have an imbalance in the world. You can't have an imbalance in the universe. It has to be corrected. So now, once again, everything's being challenged right now. You know what I'm saying? And then again, like I said before, we not only beat them during and freed ourselves in slavery, we beat them again in Jim Crow. And now we're in the final stage of this, how can we say, this white supremacy dominion that I like to call. We're in the final stage right now. It's mental, it's crazy. They put a bunch of traps on us. They put out the multicultural groups. They got our women to try to get against us. They put in the LGBTBZ community thing. They got the jits going crazy. They've thrown in a lot. The women class has thrown in a lot of shit. But we haven't even gotten started yet. That's what I keep saying. We haven't even gotten started yet. We don't got no organization challenging the system. There ain't no leader going toe to toe with those at the top. We haven't named all the names of the people who are behind all of this so they can be exposed in the light and handled accordingly. We haven't done any of that yet. And yet we are still right here. That's think about that for a second before you start to feel so low or down. You know what I'm saying? And another thing too, stop buying into the propaganda, because that's another thing that the people at the top of the game are so masterful at. Give you propaganda so that you don't even start. You don't even think that you can do it, so you never even take the chance to do it. That's a strategy in itself as well. Like, why can what this? It's always been like this. So why should we even fight? Why should we even challenge it? Why should we even organize? Oh, these people are black people ain't nothing. So why should we even try to organize them? That's a strategy too. That's why they put out so much fucked up propaganda. That's why the music is so trash. The movies are so degrading. The TV shows are so filthy. All of that is a means of making us look at ourselves the same way crackers look at us, as less than human. That's real shit. We spitting truth right now. And when I say white people, I'm saying they're white auxiliaries too. That means Hispanics, the Asian community, the East Indians, the Arabs who were involved in the slave trade before the white people were involved in the slave trade. And that also means other black people who are not from America too. Because they look at us the same way the cracker do. They got little fucked up words for us like a cotta and Yankee nigga and all that other shit. I'm from Miami. I know the game. They think they better too. So we need to just, like I said before, circle the wagons amongst ourselves, build up our own shit. If we got allies here and there, cool. But we'll keep them at arm's length. But this is just about us right now. Nobody else. This is about self-empowerment. This is about, like, as the right wingers like to famously say, pulling ourselves by our bootstraps. But the lie is that we don't pull ourselves by our bootstraps because our boots got stolen. But I digress. But like I said before, this is about changing the fucking game. Kanye mentioned it in the interview too. He talked about he pulled himself up by his bootstraps and became a billionaire, and that's real. That's real shit. That's real. You know, what's going on right now, if y'all can't feel this shit, we are ascending. Reparations is the loudest it's been since probably the 1800s, honestly. Like, the reparations is at its loudest peak since the since we first freed ourselves out of slavery, when we won the Civil War back in 1865. It hasn't been this loud since. Has not been this loud. There's been rumblings here and there, like in the 60s. There's been rumblings in like the 80s and 90s with Khalid Muhammad and shit like that, but it's as loud as it's at its loudest point. Um, One thing too, I want people to read before they start castigating Kanye for all the stuff he talked about with the Jewish thing, and they buy into that anti-Semitic label. I want y'all to watch Dr. Khalid Muhammad versus Phil Donahue on YouTube. I want y'all to read the secret relationship between blacks and Jews and how 75% of all Jews owned slaves during that time period. I want y'all to really read some real books and get some game for real, you know. And another thing too, I want y'all to really look at this political situation, because I'm gonna go one more step further and I'm gonna tie this into what's going on right now. Politically, the Democrats ain't looking too hard right now. They're not looking too hard, and the Republicans suck. We already know they fucking suck. But the Democrats suck too. They just are able to play the game off with us because they have us as our they use us as their base, but not giving us back anything in return. But Stacey Abrams and Raphael Warnock got a huge problem because they ain't giving nothing right now, and people can see right through it. We've been demanding reparations, demanding economic tangibles, demanding an end to the Black Genocide campaign, and all they're giving us is no fucking, no voting. They're giving us goddamn minstrel shows, basically. Niggas doing minstrel shows, basically. You know, basically black people who are just shucking and jiving and buck dancing and shit. That's not cutting it right now, man. That ain't cutting it. And that's why Kemp finna bust that ass against Stacey's ass. That's why if the Republicans had a viable candidate, they would have beat Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock is a joke. I saw him and Marcel just asked him about reparations, and this dude completely dismissed him. But yet, right before, he let some Becky talk about a whole bunch of shit. So it was cool to interview her, but not cool for him to interview you or even talk to you about the real issues going on. And yet y'all kicked him out because he was speaking truth to power. That ain't cool. That's bitch made shit, bro. And I ain't feeling that at all. I'm glad he did that. Shout out to Marcel. Uh, Shout out to everything that's going on right now. But we need more. Yeah, we got little disruptors here and there. We got little reparations rallies, protests here and there. That's cool. That's cool. But we need more. We need an organization that's strong enough for us to win. Hell, if it took 50 million to 49 million for a president to be elected, quote unquote, whether it's whether it's Trump or it's Biden. I'm being honest with you, there's probably 100 million of us in the United States right now. If we all really got on code and had an organization were serious, we would be winning elections. We will be protecting ourselves. We will be feeding ourselves, clothing ourselves. We will not have to answer to nobody but ourselves. And that's power right there. Hell, we have everybody in place everywhere, but it's not organized. We're all individuals on this weird spectrum. Yeah, we're starting to gain a code, which is a behavior, but now it has to be housed and protected and provided for and nurtured and fostered so it can grow and it can be the oak tree that it needs to be. And it's funny. I was listening to something earlier today, and they talked about how oak tree can be struck by lightning several times, but it still stands tall. That's what we've been dealing with. We've been struck by lightning, but we're indestructible. I feel like real rap, real shit. We've been hit forever. We're still getting hit. We're getting hit on a daily basis, at the workplace, at home, when you watch TV and the music. Shit. We go into society, but yeah, we still standing tall. Grocery store, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many times I done been either in school or working out or anywhere, man, and you have to face a little funny style shit, bruh. Some racist little shit, some little grimy shit. But we not backing down. We pushing. That's another thing too. We're pushing. Tesla might call it push the line. I like to say we hold the line, like Khalid Muhammad. Khalid Muhammad had a famous line, hold the line. You know what I'm saying? And I'm holding the line. Like, we're standing on truth. We don't want any more fucking genocide. We want our fucking reparations. We want to end the white supremacy. We're tired of all these games. And when I say end white supremacy, when I say reparations, I mean changing. I don't just mean fucking money. Damn, yeah, we're going to get money. But the money is endless. That it means because reparations was endless. It caused the wealthy United States and the world to be endless. Wealth never ends. So it's a one payment, but it never ends. But then I'm talking about land. I'm talking about a full set economy. So that means piping that's clean water, the best piping, railroad systems, cars that we can drive. That's the newest that we are inventing. That's a part of the game. I'm talking about plant life, being around, nature, shit like that, houses, a community stable, police, firefighter, whatever else, wherever we need in the economy, that's part of the reparation. You know what I'm saying? Banking, um, grocery store, farming area, hospital, school system, our own textbooks that write the truth. That's all part of it. All part of it. Adequate child care, all of it, all of it, all of it. Repairing our own mental damages that we've mental traumas that we felt intergenerationally because of the legacy of slavery, which has fucked up our family dynamic, which has fucked up our love relationships between ourselves and then between our counterparts, our loved ones, between our children, between our moms, our dads, between everything. It's all part of it, including the money. I want to be clear. I am for us getting a damn check, but it's beyond that. It's a full set economy. And once we get it from here, the U.S., we got to get it from the people who actually ruled the U.S. before the U.S. became a state. Yes, that's Britannia. Britannia owns us shit too. The British royal family, and that's gonna make me go into my next point. See, I was gonna make a video about the Queen and the royal family and all their degeneracy weeks ago. I just didn't have the time, but I feel like right now I got the time. So I'm gonna talk about the Queen right quick and all that hoopla that they've been giving her ass and all the hoopla they've been giving the punk ass royal family. That shit is not cool at all. This is a degenerate, demonic, genocidal family whose blood is soaked in eugenics and the oppression of black people for centuries. Remember, before the U.S. was the world power, the sun never set on the British Empire. That's because they massacred and genocided black people all over, whether it was the Tasmanians, who they exterminated. There's no more living Tasmanians because of the British. or whether it was all the genocide they did in South America, South Africa, or West Africa, or I know it was the Belgians and the Congo, but they had a hand in it too. You know what I'm saying? Because the Congo, the Belgians wanted to get a piece of land, a piece of an empire, because of how on top the British were and how genocidal they were. So they wanted to be in comparison of genocide and loot stealing that they were on. Or whether it was the Devil's Win that they did in India, where they crushed and killed about 1 million in India, or whether it was what they did in the Americas for the dark Americans who were here, the black Americans who were here in America prior to Columbus coming over. So it's so much. It's so much. So once we get it from here, we're going to get it from there. And once again, I want to talk about the Queen. I want to talk about how the royal family is connected to Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jimmy Salvo. These people were given clearance and connected to the royal family for pedophilia and pedophile rings that are on wax. The documentaries on that. There's a whole bunch of lists and names about people who were connected to this. Photos of the Prince Andrew being connected with Jeffrey Epstein and them, being connected with Jimmy Salvo and all of that. Prince Charles, Prince Philip. You know what I'm saying? Hell, Prince Philip, who died recently, famously said he wanted to come back as a virus and kill people. That's just one of his famous quotes. So these people been had you genocide on their mind. You're the eugenicists. They're nuts, bro. What the hell? They. What's interesting is if you go back and you look at during Hitler's reign or whatever, a lot of them were going to align if Hitler had beaten and had broken them, which he could have did during their air bombing or whatever. They were going to align, like Prince Bernard of Holland. He was going to align with Hitler, and he was going to be, you know, one court basically. So you would have had a situation where they would have overtly been part of the Nazi regime back in the day. Y'all need to go look that up. I encourage y'all to read Against Oligarchy by Webster Tarpley, and also go to Dr. Webster Tarpley's website, tarpley.net, and he's had lectures and talking points on that, but I digress. So the royal family has their blood soaked in genocide, eugenics, pedophilia, sacrificing kids and shit like that. There's a whole bunch of little shit that's been put out there already. That people have talked about. This is who you're praising. This is who you are hyping up and giving credence to. No, we ain't celebrating that. Hell no. They need to answer for their crimes. They don't need to be praised. The Queen don't need to be praised. What's there to praise about an empire that got their glory from killing millions and stealing and robbing and killing? That's nothing to praise. If I commit a crime, should I be praised for that? If I kill 100 people, should I get credo for that? No. What the fuck? I just killed 100 innocent people who didn't do anything to me. That's nothing to praise. And I stole their loot and then I tricked those around them to think of it as glory. That's not glory. That's genocide, and I just technologized the whole society. That's what basically they did, basically. And then everybody just fell in line, basically, and then they accepted it over time, and then people wanted to get in the ranks because they saw the wealth, and they ignored all of the truths behind that wealth. That's not cool. That's not nothing to accept. And so I need people to do their research, man. I really do. And I'm not cool with none of that shit. Fuck the royal family and everything that they stand for, because it's against everything that I stand for. Because I ain't about none of that shit that they are. That's why Meghan Markle had to clear all that racism and death cult shit and probably blood sacrifice shit that they on. Probably had her ass spooked. That's probably what the Invitation movie was about. It was like a wink to her. I was like that's like a satire for them. I really feel like that. But yeah, so I just want to end it off with the political spectrum right now. I'm being honest with you, I don't like either party. And the strategy shouldn't be just hold your vote and wait till one day when they have to come to us, because we'll like it's like holding out resources. That only works as a strategy if you have more resources than them, but they have more resources than us. So we're gonna have to make moves in order to move forward and then organize to overtake them as a national party. Remember now, the Republican Party used to be a third party. Before it used to be the Whigs and the Democrats, who were the Dixiecrats, who were the Republicans of yesteryear. There's things called political realignment, which flipped. The Whig Party collapsed. The Republican Party took over and became a mainstay party. So this can happen. You can have a third party take over the reins, especially if the Democratic Party doesn't have no more staying power. Their staying power is losing weight because their base is leaving them. More and more black people are exiting the Democratic Party. And if they're exiting the Democratic Party, they're not going to go to the Republican Party because the Republican Party is overtly against black people. Hell, Trump might pass some shit out of spite and might say some real shit out of spite for the Democrats, but he's not doing it for just means. We don't need to be playing this game of three-card Monty or playing this game of hiding under one form of white supremacy or the other. We need our own independent party. We need our own organization. We need to be strong enough to overtake one party or the other, or overtake both of them and take over. And we need to protect it because we already know what happens when you start raising up in power. They don't play fair. We already know they don't play fair. They go boom, boom, bang, bang, and then they play it off and be like, oh, well, he slipped and fell, and somehow he slipped on glass, but there's no glass in the house, and believe the story because I just said so. That's real rap. That's how they play. That's how they get down, because they weak and they soft and they're like children. They don't know how to play fair, and every time they lose, they end up um, returning the favor in blood. Like, for example, they lost with King and Malcolm X. Malcolm X and King strategically ran circles around the ruling class to the point where they were so mad that they had to execute both of them in violent means to show, oh, yeah, you might have won, but I get the last laugh. But did you really get the last laugh, bro? Because you didn't really get the last laugh because they won. Their shit is everlasting. They're building millions and millions of Kings and Malcolm X's, and now you have to contend with us again. And then you have to contend with us again. And you're weaker now. The ruling class is weaker than it's ever been right now. They don't got the Rockefellers are, in disarray. Devin Rockefeller's dead. George Soros's still alive, but Jit can be had. Their strategies is pathetic. The Peter Thiel ain't shit. They top oligarchical power elites aren't. They're not the Henry Stimsons and the John J. McCloys and the um, Allen Dulleses and all that. They're not. They don't got that no more. The J. Edgar Hoovers and all of that. Their power is pathetic now. Yeah, they have superior technology, but even with all of that, we're still able to move and shake. So my thing going forward is we need to start organizing and really changing the landscape, start becoming our own political party, or we become like, for example, what the Tea Party and the Libertarian Party did when they just took over the Republican Party. We need to either take over the Democratic Party from our third party vantage point, like within, which is happening. That's what we're doing. We're moving and shaking. But as we're moving and shaking, we need to continue having candidates that fit our message, or have them continuously lose, and at the same time having our own political party that runs candidates and wins, and also has organizations that help people economically, make sure that they're good, protect them physically, and all of that. So I digress right now. That's pretty much everything, man. I'm pretty much caught up to speed. I've said everything I want to say. Um, right now, we're in a good spot right now. I think the next step is us putting in the work. We've said everything we had to say. We've campaigned enough. We've talked about stuff enough. We pontificated enough. We've been on Twitter enough. We've been on um, YouTube enough, and now it's time for it to manifest in the real world, and for us to really see our message be the way that this nation goes and manifests, because it's happening right now. They have to talk about what we said. They have to talk about reparations, even if they don't support it. They have to placate to us. Now, let's get them from placating to us taking over, and us having no middleman no more. That's the goal, to not have a middleman, so we're the power itself. And that's where I'm gonna land my plane, and that's pretty much that on that. So, you know, look for more videos, man. I'm glad I'm back on here, and I appreciate it, and thank you.